Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगे श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय नम ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः आनंद लीलामय विग्रहाय हेमावदिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रस प्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते श्री चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते हरे कृष्ण. Thank you all once again for joining this daily book reading of the pastimes of Sri Krishna that we have been doing for a couple of months. We are right now in the section of Krishna being bound by the ropes of Mother Yashoda's pure love, Vatsalya Prem, also called as Dam Bandhan Leela, that pastime where Krishna was bound to the wooden grinding mortar. In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother, and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound by the ropes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish. Mare Krishna rakhe Krishna mare ke. If Krishna wants to protect, no one can kill that devotee. And if Krishna wants to kill, well, no one can protect. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. Similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother Yashoda. Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees, but the benediction which was bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced by even Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or the goddess of fortune. What Maya got, even Brahmaji did not get, even Shivaji did not get, and even Lakshmiji did not get. Even they have not experienced. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, Nanda Nandan, Yashoda Nandan, is never so completely known to the yogis and the speculators, but he is available to his devotees. Nor is he appreciated as a supreme reservoir of all pleasure by the yogis and speculators. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. In fact, many times we think that Maya tied Krishna because Krishna was naughty. Krishna broke the pot of butter, and that's why Maya tied him. Well, Krishna has done it many times in the past. Our Acharyas comment that The reason Mother Yashoda tied Krishna to the wooden grinding mortar, and in fact, it was such that right from her kitchen, she could see Krishna. So it was Krishna was placed such that right from the kitchen window, Maya Yashoda could see Krishna. And the reason she bound him to the wooden grinding mortar is because Krishna is so small, and she always had this fear that he will run away deep into the forest. अभी बच्चा इतना छोटा है because Krishna is only 2.5. Now, if he goes inside the forest, he will not know how to come back. How will the mother know how to find the child? So the purpose of Mother Yashoda tying Krishna is not punishment, but it is to make sure that he doesn't go inside the forest. Because if he goes, he will not know how to come back. He will not know how to come back. And where will Maya search? This is Vrindavan. This is a village. How will she search? So out of motherly affection, so that he doesn't get lost, she very gently, she bound his very small belly with ropes only so that he doesn't go deep inside the forest. And from the kitchen, she can see Krishna. In fact, now if we go to Braj, we see this place is there, Ukhal Bandhan, where the Damodara Lila pastime took place. But in and around, nowhere do we find the place of Mother Yashoda's kitchen, or the place where she would prepare. Things have changed. Last 5,000 years, things have changed so much. During those days when Maya Yashoda was there, it was such that the Damodar Lila place, the pastime where it took place, and the kitchen was like right across. But this time when you go in Vrindavan, things have changed. Even Yamuna, we see. Earlier, Yamuna would flow in all the places, but over a period of time, now she has shrunk so much. I remember when we would go to Pandharpur. In Pandharpur, you have Chandrabhaga, very famous Chandrabhaga. And Chandrabhaga river, we always see that when you go during rainy season, it will be completely full. But if you go some other time, maybe peak summer, because of the heat, many times it gets completely dried up. So much so that people can walk across. Itana सूख जाता है कि you can walk across. So if someone has not been to that side, it's very difficult to even think that there was a river here. So likewise, things have changed last 5,000 years. Because of material nature, things have changed. But during Krishna's time, it was such that from Maya Yashoda's window, she could see Krishna being bound. So that's how the scene of Damodar Leela is. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. At that time, bound up by the wooden mortar, Krishna could see a pair of trees before him, which were known as the Arjuna trees, Yamala Arjuna trees. The great reservoir of pleasure. Krishna thus thought to himself, Mother Yashoda first of all left without feeding me sufficient milk, and therefore I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed a stock of butter and charity to the monkeys. Now she has bound me up to a wooden mortar, so I shall do something more mischievous than before. Welcome to Vrindavan Dham. This is Krishna. He is bound. Maya Yashoda is tying Krishna so that he doesn't do it again. But here we find Krishna is one notch higher. बांध दिया तो अब ज्यादा ही करूंगा. Many times we also see, we have this nature that if we are told to not do, then the urge to do it is more. यदि बोले कि ये नहीं करना है तो अब ट्राई करना ही है, उसमें क्या है, क्यों नहीं करना है. So it's just a human nature, and here Krishna is demonstrating this more that, well, you didn't give me the stock of butter and then I gave it to the monkeys and you had a problem with that, then you bound me to a wooden grinding mortar. Now look what I'll do. Thus he thought of pulling down the true, very tall Arjuna trees. There is a history behind the pair of Arjuna trees. So now Prabhupada is going back. In the previous lives, the trees were born as the human sons of Kubera. Kuberji kaun hai? Wealth. Kuber. When we go to Belvan and Vrindavan, in Braj, one of the forests, when we go to Belvan, you will have a Lakshmi temple. That's the only place you will find Lakshmi ji is her palms are folded. All other places we go, our palms are folded to Lakshmi ji. Ki paisa de dijiye. But that's the place where Lakshmi ji, her hands are in a folding position, begging Krishna to very kindly accept her. So there in Belwan, we will find there is a Kuber temple. Not many places do we find. In fact, I have not seen Kuber temple in a lot of places. But that place in Belwan, you have a Kuber temple. So his sons were Nalakuvera and Manigreva. We see their mention is there in Damodara Ashtakam also. Fortunately, they came within the vision of the Lord. In their previous life, they were cursed by the great sage Narada in order to receive the highest benediction of seeing Lord Krishna. This benediction curse was bestowed upon them because of their forgetfulness due to intoxication. This story will be narrated in the next chapter. In fact, the history to this is when Narada Muni, who was the transcendental spaceman, Narada Muni was going from one place to another, and he came to this place where Manigreva and Nalakuvera were there. And they were there in a pond, in a water body, completely intoxicated and covered by Mother Nature. And when they saw Narada Muni, instead of offering him obeisances, they were there in the same pitiful state with no clothes on and completely intoxicated. And Narada Muni, who was the dear associate of the Lord, when he saw this state, that of the sons of Kubera, he got very angry and he cursed him. So Shastra explains, if one is always very scantily dressed, the next life is that of a tree body, because trees have no clothes on. Throughout their life, they are as it is. And here in this pastime, we find that these two sons, Nalakuvar and Manigriva, were covered by nature. They had nothing on. And naturally, Narada Muni cursed them that, well, if this is the lifestyle that you want to live with having no clothes on, I curse you. May you get a body where full life you can be with just by Mother Nature covering you. And naturally, they ended up becoming trees. So it's always good. Sometimes we are so much, we get swayed away with the Western culture that whatever West is doing, we have to do. But whatever the West is doing, most people have no idea. Our Shastra is so crystal clear in each and every point that it makes. So this point is made time and again in the Shastra, and this Damodara Leela pastime signifies this. Many times to look cool. Oh, well, if I am not dressed the way society expects me to dress, then well, I will not have friends. I will not be cool. How will I upload any photos in Instagram? How will I upload in Facebook? How will I get the likes? So that I get likes and followers on Instagram, let me be more scantily dressed. Very sad situation. This is a very sad situation. But we fail to realize that for a few likes and for a few followers, we are putting our whole human existence at stake. Just think about it. Just for some few likes and few followers, we are putting our whole human existence at stake. It's possible with this mindset of being scantily dressed for few likes and followers, etc., whatever it is, to be in the front page of a magazine. It can have a very adverse effect. And here we find Nalakuvar and Manigriva had practically nothing on. And next life they end up becoming trees. So Prabhupada, of course, will explain this pastime in the next chapter. So chapter 10, the deliverance of Nalakuvera and Manigriva. The story of the cursing of Nalakuvera and Manigriva and the deliverance by Krishna under the all blissful desire of the great sage Narada is here described. The two great demigods, Nalakuvera and Manigriva, were the sons of the treasurer of the demigods, Kubera, who was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. By the grace of Lord Shiva, Kubera's material opulences had no limit. as a rich man's son often becomes addicted to wine and women. So these two sons of Kubera were also addicted to wine and sex. Once these two demigods, desiring to enjoy, entered the garden of Lord Shiva in the province of Kailash on the bank of Mandakini Ganges. There they drank much and engaged in hearing the sweet singing of the beautiful women who accompanied them in that garden of fragrant flowers. In an intoxicated condition, the two demigods entered the water of the Ganges, which was filled with lotus flowers, and there they began to enjoy the company of the young girls, exactly as a male elephant enjoys female elephant within the water. While they were thus enjoying themselves in the water, all of a sudden Narada Muni, the great sage, happened to pass that way. He could understand that the demigods, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, were too much intoxicated and could not even see that he was passing. When the mind is completely intoxicated, even when a pure devotee is speaking, we are always in an argumentative mood. To even understand Krishna consciousness, the senses have to be in a proper state. We have to be sane in our senses. But if the mood is always that of arguing and debating and challenging, then one can never understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Krishna is not so cheap that he will enter the mind of a person who's always debating and challenging. Even Keshav Kashmiri had a hard time. He was a Digvijay Pandit. He knew all the scriptures, but Nimai crushed him to pieces. Devananda Pandit knew all the scripture, was very philosophical, but nothing worked out. Did not get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Both cases, both did not get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So just knowing the Shastra doesn't make us a devotee. It's the application part. How much we are able to apply that in our lives. And here Nalakuvara and Manigriva are demigods and they're expected to behave in a certain manner. But here we find, especially being demigods, the son of Kubera, who's the treasurer, in the garden of Lord Shiva, in Kailas, and in an intoxicated state, that too in front of Narada Muni, who's the Lord's very, very dear associate. So naturally, because they were so intoxicated, they could not appreciate the presence of the sage Narada and therefore did not cover their bodies. On seeing the two demigods so degraded by intoxication, Narada desired their welfare and therefore he exhibited his causeless mercy upon them by cursing them. Now someone may think, how is curse a blessing? Yadi shrap diye to ye, how is curse a blessing? Well, here we find Narada Muni is kind because they by themselves will never get the attention of Krishna, because they will not go to Krishna and Krishna will not come to a place where people are intoxicated this way. But now because of the curse, they end up becoming trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. And eventually Krishna comes and rescues and protects and uplifts them. So if not for Narada Muni, they would have never got Krishna. Look at Narada Muni's contribution, dear devotees. Whoever meets Narada Muni, they get Krishna. Dhruva meets Narada Muni, gets Krishna. Prahlad meets Narada Muni, gets Krishna. Manigriva and Alakuvera meet Narada Muni, they get Krishna. Mrigari, the hunter, meets Narada Muni, gets Krishna. So many examples. Those who have met Narada Muni have got Krishna. And the understanding here is those who meet a pure sadhu will get Krishna. Narada Muni here signifies a pure devotee. Those who meet a pure devotee in their life will get Krishna. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. There are two things that are very important. A highly potent spiritual master and second, a receptive disciple. If these two combination, if this combination is there of a highly potent spiritual master and a very receptive disciple, then sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. There is nothing that can stop the jiva from getting Krishna. Narada Muni is potent, and the disciple Prahlad is very receptive. Dhruva, very receptive. Manigriva and Nalakovera were standing for thousands of years. It's not that when Krishna came, that's when they started growing. No, they were standing there even before Krishna's appearance. They were standing for yugas, in fact. Even prior to Dwapar Yuga, they were standing. From Satya Yuga, they were standing. Satya, Treta, and then Dwapar, Krishna appeared. They waited patiently and submissively for such a long time to get Krishna's mercy. So patience is always the key. In the Krishna consciousness, many times we want results overnight. But in the material world also, we find nothing works overnight. Everything takes time. So bhakti is not an exception. It takes time. But highly potent spiritual master with a very sincere, receptive disciple. Complete explosion. Shukadev Goswami, the Guru Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is the disciple. The explosion is Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri Krishna is the Guru. Arjuna is the potent or the receptive disciple. What comes out is the Bhagavad Gita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is acting like a receptive disciple, and Ramananda Rai is the speaker. What comes out is the Rai Ramananda Samvad, which is complete essence of Krishna consciousness. 250 verses that speak about the essence of complete Krishna consciousness. Shanta, Dasya, Sakha, Vatsalya, Madhurya, everything gets covered in that. So here we find Narada Muni is cursing these two demigods. But more than a curse, it's actually a blessing for them, because now they're going to get uplifted by Shri Krishna. Because the great sage was compassionate upon them, he wanted to finish their false enjoyment of intoxication and association with the young girls, and wanted them to see Lord Krishna face to face. He conceived of cursing them as follows. He said that the attraction for material enjoyment is due to an increase of mode of passion. A person in the material world, when favored by the material opulences of riches, generally becomes addicted to three things: intoxication, sex, and gambling. Materially opulent men, being puffed up with the accumulation of wealth, also become so merciless that they indulge in killing animals by opening slaughterhouses. And all these things we find, dear devotees. All these things we find. It is nothing that Prabhupada is saying that अरे ये पहले के जमाने में होता था, आजकल दिखता नहीं ना. आजकल तो सबसे ज्यादा दिखता है, सबसे ज्यादा दिखता है. We see slaughterhouses, and we see all types of regulatory principles are very easily broken everywhere. And it starts with, as Prabhupada is explaining, too much material opulence. As Kunti Maharani also explains in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Janma Aishwarya Shuta Shri Edamana Madapuman Naivar Hatya Bidatun Vaitvam Akinchana Gochara. She explains that Janma, high class birth, aristocratic birth; Aishwarya, beauty; Shruta, education; Shri, wealth. These four things: Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, Edamana, Madhapuman. These four things, if they are there in excess, Edamana, Madhapuman, the mind goes crazy. If someone is very beautiful, or someone is very rich, someone is very educated, or has a high class aristocratic birth, the mind goes crazy. The mind goes crazy. What does Kunti Maharani say? Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shri Edamana Madapuman Naivar Hatya Vidhatun Vai Tvam Akinchana Gochara. She says, my dear Lord, if anyone has these four things in excess, they cannot get you. They cannot get you, because the mind goes so much crazy, it gets so intoxicated कि भगवान को कैसे याद करे? How can that person remember Krishna? Tvam Akinchana Gochara. Only that person who has lost all hope in this world, only that person can get Krishna. हारे को हरि नाम. जो व्यक्ति ये मान गया कि अब इस जगत में और कुछ रहा ही नहीं, हार गया इस जगत में, Not because he has not endeavored. That is not the understanding. Not that he has not endeavored. Not that he's a failure. No. But he has got the realization that how much ever, whatever I do, it's futile, because next life, again, punarmushiko bhava. It again starts and suffering is again going to be there. Again, there's going to be birth, again death, again old age, and again disease. So what's the use? What have I gained? I have made a castle, and one wave, one stroke of wave, gone. The whole castle is down to pieces. What have we gained? Kya mila? Hare ko harinam. Only that person can chant harinam जो इस जगत में हार गया है. Who has understood, my dear Lord, I have no one except you. Only such a person can chant, which is nothing but the principle of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahishnuna amani na manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Here we find Nalakuber and Manigriva are the trees, and Mahaprabhu is giving the example of the trees. Mahaprabhu is saying, only if you're tolerant like the tree. Were Nalakuber and Manigriva as trees, were they tolerant? Yes, because they were waiting from Satya Yuga, Satya, Treta, Dwapar. So much tolerance. Whether it's the heat, whether it's cold, whether it's rain, you see the trees outside. They cannot speak anything. Nothing to cover them. We don't go around putting blankets for them. Even for animals, for pet animals, people put clothing sometimes. But who cares for the trees? No one. Whether it's rain, whether it's freezing winter, especially here in America, or whether it's summer in Vrindavan, how hot it gets, or whether it's the rainy season, they are there as it is. Have to suffer. High level of tolerance, high level of patience. But Mahaprabhu is saying those who learn to tolerate like the trees, amidst the suffering, amidst the happiness. When we are happy, things are perfect. But the moment things go off, our plan goes off, that's when the mind gets agitated. But the trees we find, whatever it is, whether it's happiness, whether it's stress, they're very tolerant. And Mahaprabhu says, those who are tolerant can chant constantly. Those who are tolerant will get Krishna. Nalakuvar and Manigriva, who were the trees, were tolerant. And Krishna is proving Mahaprabhu's statement true. If you're like these trees, Yamala Arjuna trees, you will get me. You will get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The young girls, however, were not so much intoxicated as the demigods, and they at once being ashamed at being naked before the sage Narada, they began to cover themselves with all haste. The two demigod sons Kuvera were so much intoxicated that they could not appreciate the presence of the sage Narada, and therefore did not cover their bodies. On seeing the two demigods so degraded by intoxication, Narada desired their welfare, and therefore he exhibited his causeless mercy upon them by cursing them. Because the great sage was compassionate upon them, he wanted to finish their false enjoyment of intoxication and association with the young girls, and wanted them to see Lord Krishna face to face. He conceived of cursing them as follows. He said that the attraction for material enjoyment is due to the... Oh, I think we read this. Yes. By killing and opening slaughterhouses, and they think that they themselves will never die. Such foolish persons, forgetting the laws of nature, become overly infatuated with the body. They forget that the material body, even though very much advanced in civilization, up to the position of the demigods, will finally turn into ashes and stool. Ah, Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Even if we become Brahma, we are again going to come back. Even if we become the demigods, we're still going to come back. Even they are not happy. They may have a long life and more material enjoyment, but it will end at one point. Shashwat nahi hai. It's not eternal. It will end. So in this world, if the happiness is X, then in the upper planets, it's probably 10X. There's a little more happiness, but the point is it will end. it is going to end. So what have we gained? Even if we go to the upper planets, what have we gained? It's only when we go to Vaikunta and beyond, Golok Vrindavan, Shvetadvip, Navadvip, that's when one is eternal, eternally serving the Supreme Lord. And Sat, Chit, Ananda. These are the three ingredients that the soul has. Sat means eternal, no more aging, no more getting old, no more wrinkles, no more facelifts, no more hair going white, no more becoming bald, no more having dentures. Chit, knowledgeable. One is completely, fully knowledgeable of their connection with Krishna. Sambandha Gyan is there. And Ananda, happiness. Ananda, this quotient, happiness quotient is something we are all looking for. Whatever we are doing, the only purpose is how can I get more happiness? Or sukh ki prapti kaise ho? Just we can examine our own lives. Whatever activity we are doing, what is the purpose for that? It's only happiness. I am studying so that in the future I get a job, so that from that job I get money, and that money I can enjoy. That is why I will study. ऐसा कोई विरला ही होगा जो ये बोले नहीं नहीं प्रभु जी मुझे पढ़ना है क्योंकि आई लाइक टू स्टडी, आई जेन्युइनली लाइक टू स्टडी. बहुत कम होंगे, बहुत कम होंगे. Majority end up studying because, well, that's how the world is going. And after that, you get a job, and with that money, you have to enjoy. So the aim of whatever we are doing is for one reason, that is enjoyment. But sadly, in this world, Krishna has put a stamp. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. There are two things. This world, the manufacturer is saying. He who was manufactured, he is saying there are two things. One, dukhalayam, there is going to be sorrow. And second, ashashvat, it is not permanent, it's temporary. The happiness will end at one point. Distress will also end at one point. It's like a sine wave or like a pendulum. We keep swinging back and forth. So intelligence is when we realize that if anyway things are temporary in this world, and if anyway things are going to end in this world, why not we start doing things where we will have an eternal benefit? Why to invest so much time in things that will not give any return? In this world, will we invest our money in a property jahan return nahi milega? We will not. Ask the real estate agents. They will always suggest you invest money at a place where you will get more returns, where the property will appreciate. We will never invest money in a place where we will not get returns. Likewise, why invest in things and our energy where the returns are very less? To the extent that we put bhakti where we get eternal results, the gain is unlimited. Little bhakti we do, Krishna remembers. But anything material we see, people forget. 10, 15 years back, we would have done good to someone else. We will remember because we are doing good, but that person would have forgotten. That person will forget. But Krishna never forgets. Krishna always remembers. Krishna always remembers. Anything small, even small iota that we have done in previous lifetimes, Krishna remembers. So why not use our time and energy to impress and please that person who is always our well-wisher? Why waste our time in impressing and pleasing people of this world who are like logs of wood just coming together and leaving after one point? Santam samipe ramanam rati pradam vitta pradam nitya imam ihaya akamadam dukkha bhayadi shoka moha pradam tucha aham bhajegya. 11.831 Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavatam, we find Pingala is making the same point, that my dear Lord, you are very dear to my heart. You are so dear to my heart. You are so compassionate. All my life and so many lifetimes together, you have been very, very close to my heart, always guiding me, always inspiring me, always motivating me with your presence. But leaving you, my dear Lord, I have served people of this world. And what have they given me? Moha pradam tuchya aham bhajegya. All that they have given me is anxiety, lamentation, distress, sorrow, and illusion. And none of these things we want. We don't want any of these things, but it is forced upon us. While Krishna is there, who's Ramanam Rati Pradam, ready to give love, ready to embrace us, ready to accept us. But leaving that Krishna, we are going around finding happiness in this world. Jahan nahi milne wala hai. Because he who has manufactured, he himself is saying there is no happiness. It's like a mirage. It's like a mirage. How much ever you keep running, you will feel pani yahan hai, pani yahan hai, pani yahan hai. You will never get water. It's the same fundamental understanding. Happiness in this world is like a mirage. We will never get it. And even if we get it, it's shanik, shanabhangur. It comes with a time limit and it will end after one point. Here we find Manigriva and Nalak were enjoying all the material happiness they were enjoying. But what happened? Out of nowhere, the roof fell on their head and now they end up becoming trees. The sons of demigods. So there is constant unhappiness. A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. 7 planets above our planet and planets below. There is constant sorrow, there is constant anxiety. But only when we go back to Krishna, one is eternally happy, because the nature of the Jiva is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. The spiritual body is made of these 3 ingredients. It's not made of blood, mucus, and so many other things that we find in the material body. Those are the ingredients of material body, but spiritual body is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. It is eternal, filled with knowledge, and completely blissful, completely happy. So in this way, we find in this section that Narada Muni is showering his blessings on these 2 sons of Kubera. Having said this, we stop here, only to continue tomorrow as to what happens in this section of Damodar Leela, where Krishna is about to liberate the 2 Yamala Arjuna trees. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Damodar Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dhama ki jai. Gaura Premanand.